There's no real armor ratings in this game. It's pretty much all based on skill. What armor does is it boosts your stats, and you get these fun little things called set bonuses. For example, I have 3 items from the... well, 4 items, but there's no 4-item bonus. There's just 2, 3, 5, 6, 8. I don't know why there's 4. There's not a 4. But because I have these things, since for having 2 items I get increased fire damage, and for having 3 items I get increased earth damage. If I can get all 8 items in this set, I get +1 action point. That actually is a very big deal. Like, you don't even know. It's a really interesting setup because you can run around as a high-level guy and still wear the Go Well set if you want to. It's not giving you any armor, so it's not any worse off. If you like the stats, use the armor. If you like the stats and the set bonuses, use the armor. That's all there is to it. Definitely encouraging some cosmetic feel, which is pretty nice. There's no way of adjusting what is viewed cosmetically and what is viewed stat-wise, which sucks, because actually underneath this hat I got a really cool-looking bandana, and I actually really want to wear that, but there's no way to do that. This is the adventure set. Technically I've got 3 items, but I've got 2 of these rings, and it has to be individually set. So if I get 3 items, I'll have +5 wisdom. Adventure set's not the best set in the world. It's really good for beginners though, because look at this: +9 max HP, +2% air damage. I'm using the air element, so that's pretty good for me. Speaking of that, what is this? I don't even. Speaking of that, let me bring up, well, first characteristics. In this game, everything is stat-based. It's unique, to say the least, but everything from health points to the damage you're dealing to even stuff like how often you critical, the amount of XP you gain per level, how quickly you're going, even your odds of finding rare items, they're all adjusted by stats. That's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know, but it's just really, really... Oh yeah, you can also increase your action points, and you can also increase your movement points. The thing is, next level is 100 points. You gain 5 points per level. I'm not waiting that long. I'm just gonna rely on what I've got, because it's working. You also get Sakura specialty points. Well, insert class name here, specialty points. These are all passive, these are all actives. Gives you unique abilities that you can use that are non-elemental. One last thing. These are your masteries. The more points you have in here, the more damage you deal, and the more resistant you are. For example, agility actually doesn't really do anything besides increase your air damage. I have +10 agility as a direct result of having 10 agility. This increases my air damage by 32% and increases my resistance by 10%. 29% and 11% for intellect, which is fire damage. I don't use any other thing, which is kind of a weird setup. Sacriers are typically pretty strength heavy, but I decided to run a caster Sacrier, which is pretty interesting. Okay, this is your spells. These are all the spells you have access to. This is only an open beta. They might introduce more, but for now this is all we have. Basically what you want to do is choose a class that suits your playstyle and choose elements that choose your playstyle. I would recommend not really branching out more than 2. Actually, you probably want to just stick with 1. I had to go with 2 because of how the Sacrier works, but typically you want to just stick with 1 and max that out for max damage. Tons of damage. Take a shot. I was originally just going to go straight fire, but the thing is, the fire spells for the Sacrier, the cost is HP, on top of occasional Wakfu points and definitely some minor amounts of action points. You're also burning away your own health. So I also had to split into air. I also put some points in air so I could get spells that didn't have any cost short of Wakfu. And also the air spells are pretty cool. It revolves around manipulation of the playing field. You saw me using light speed. I can get anywhere I need to. There's assault, which lets me trade places with people. I can pull people away. I can shove people away. I can move people all over the place, which is really cool because I have this spell called motion sickness, which is whenever I force a target to move, they take damage for every space they moved, which is pretty neat. Some of these other skills, most of these other skills are just not really all that good. Motion sickness and sacrifice are really the only ones I use. Sacrifice is pretty cool. If an ally would take damage, I take the damage for them and I teleport to their location. Scryers are the multi-role class. They can play Berserkers with Earth, they can play Guardians and Protectors with Air. Fire is just absolutely destroy everything at the cost of literally burning away your life. That's what I really liked about Scryers. That's why I played a Scryer and Dofus. They're multi-talented and their spells are just frankly awesome. Inventory. Professions. For those of you who played Dofus, you remember that professions were limited to... You were limited to one profession. And every time you wanted to train a different profession, you had to chug a elixir of forgetting. Not in this game. There are more crafting. There's more crafting now. Same amount of gathering, but you can learn everything. Don't quote me on that, but at the very least, I know you can learn all the gathering and or all the crafting with no penalty. You might be able to learn everything in the game. As far as I know, you can. I'm pretty sure they said you can. Personally, I'm just going for gathering. Gathering's supposedly the money maker in this game, but it seems that crafting seems to work a bit more, especially karma minting. This one's funny. Money is really scarce in this game since everything is player run. All the merchants, everything, all the stalls, everything is player run. So money's kind of scarce right now, especially in open beta. It's only in open beta. But the thing is, you can make your own money. You can go out and mine 10 iron, and you can mint 10 iron into currency. And later on, you get to make, like, here's the recipes. You can make 2 commas with copper and iron, 4 commas with more copper and more iron, and 6 commas with tin ore and lead material. Apparently, I don't get that, but still, it's pretty neat how you can actually go out and make your own money. Literally making money. Then you got stuff like Weapon Master, Armor, Leather Dealer, Baker. I understand Weapon Master's actually getting pulled from the game. I heard that was actually going to be removed. I can kind of see why. I mean, the ability to make your own weapon is kind of ridiculous. It's also a bit unnecessary because weapon drops are actually pretty decent off of fighting these guys. I mean, think about it. The majority of the time, what you're going to be doing if you're not dungeon running, you're farming. And farming is going to turn into drops, and drops are going to turn into stuff like weapons, like... Hold on. You can get equipment off of... I've gotten these equipment off of those little birds I was fighting. I've gotten... The cloaks came off of these things called go balls. My current weapon, go ball wand, I got that from fighting go balls. Shuri cards. Actually, I got the Shuri cards from a merchant, but you can get go ball cards. Like, you will get weapons and everything you need just by fighting. It's literally your main source of things to do here. Now, interesting thing about this game, that doesn't mean you can go around slaughtering everything you want, especially in outer areas outside of the land. You have this fun little thing called Wakfu. Wakfu shows how much stuff is available in the area. This yellow one here is what the clan master wants. Basically, if you get in this little range here, you see these 2 little yellow lines. If you can get the number of whatever in between those 2, you get a bonus. Like right here, I got plus 10 max HP, which is pretty neat. This also means that players are actually in charge of spawn rates. Players are in charge of spawning monsters. Players are in charge of spawning resources. Players are in charge of anything. Anything and everything. As you can see, there's no wheat here. There's barely any trees here. That's because we haven't been maintaining it properly. There's a good amount of wild plants, but not a whole lot. There's currently 300 go balls in here, which is pretty interesting. But then again, that's what he wants. That's the set bonus. We have to maintain the go ball population. But yeah, literally everything that happens here is player-based. After you kill a creature, you can harvest these things called seed from them. You then plant the seed, and in a matter of moments, that's actually going to turn into a monster spawn. I don't know which monster spawn. It's probably just going to be one, or it could be a group. but players are actually in charge of maintaining the populations of everything that goes on in the world. Yes, you actually can fight a group to extinction. There actually was a time I walked into, let me bring up the map. I walked into this area here, and there's actually boars here, and in the Wakfu it said 0. All the boars had been killed. Someone went through and killed all the boars and didn't bother to replenish them, and they weren't spawning back. I lucked out and found a boar corpse and was able to get some seed off of it, but they weren't spawning back. It's entirely up to the players to spawn everything. The only exception to this is minerals like iron. These will grow back naturally, but everything else you actually have to spend a little of what you harvest just to keep everything in line. Personally, I think that's a great concept. Everyone else will probably think, "Oh, that's terrible," because you actually have to go out of your way to maintain stuff. But I think that's a wonderful concept. I love that. You have weather here. I haven't seen anything like rain yet, but weather will actually alter what you should grow and where. As you can see, right now it's currently this, I believe. It's currently this. I'm not entirely sure how this works personally. This is currently the weather. So as you can see, optimal humidity for planting is this, and it's this. So it's actually a very good time to plant thistles, which is good. I need thistles. And as you can see, by planting thistle while it's currently cloudy like this, the growth speed will go faster. Whereas if you do it under any other weather, you could actually full on make it take longer to grow. That's not good. Especially for me, who is very thistle heavy, and I require a bunch of... Needless to say, I need a bunch of it. I'm mainly gatherer, but out of all the gatherer professions, I'm herbalist heavy. I know that's funny. I know that's hard to believe, seeing as though my trapper's level 11, but you're introduced to trapper right away. That's the very first thing you become, is a trapper. And you actually spend most of your time in the tutorial area learning how to trap. So, needless to say, that's going to be your higher level thing. And trapping is actually pretty required. Where am I going?